How much of our interaction in the future will be face-to-face and how much virtual? When will we enter the matrix? Bruce Damer is the CEO and founder of Digital Space Commons, a research and development consortium that brings virtual worlds and communities to the net. He's also the founder of DigiBarn, and it's thanks to Bruce that we have all these amazing old computers. And one of the specialties of DigiBarn is they all work.
They mostly work except for the Cray supercomputer.
Why doesn't the Cray work?
The government cut the cables.
Oh, because it's top secret?
Top secret from the 70s. Yeah.
And I imagine that any one of these computers is probably more powerful than that Cray, right?
Oh, yeah, all of them. They're wristwatch.
Yeah, probably these days. So you work also in virtual reality. That's your day job.
That's my day job.
In fact, you did the virtual Mars rover?
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
We built a site called driveonmars.com where you can go and drive this rover around, bump around on rocks, and there it is on screen. And it's
now,
now
NASA commissioned it, right?
Yeah, we did it with the Ames Research Center.
Did they have, was there a lot of specifics about how this had to be so it would be accurate and all that stuff?
Yeah, and in fact, they're delivering us the real 3D bumpy terrain so that the terrain in the virtual world is the real terrain for Mars.
Well, simulations have been around almost as long as computers. And certainly pilots learn now in simulators, and astronauts learn in simulators. And that's all this is. When do we take the step from simulator to virtual world? In other words, a world we never leave, really.
Well, the great books like The Illustrated Man, where they had the kind of holodeck, Ray Bradbury and the holodeck, and when you have when those beautiful flat panels are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, you get immersion, you get your theater in your home, surround sound, THX, and you're in there, and those worlds are fantastic. I
would say nowadays when you're playing a video game, a really good PC game, you're really in that world.
You're in. Yeah. And very important is the social thing. That's why Traveler was so important.
Yeah, let's talk about Traveler, because, it's funny. I was looking at Bruce's book, Avatars, Exploring and Building Virtual Worlds on the Internet, and on the cover here is something that I went, wait a minute, I've been there.
You've been there, done that.
The program OnLive Traveler was a program we used on a show I used to do for MSNBC called The Site, and we had a world very much like this. It was designed to look like the site's set, and I was in it. I was a virtual character in it. But that was 1996.
Yeah. Well, what happened? It was a victim of the .com crash. We rescued it from the dumpster.
Yeah, they went out of business.
Basically, they went out of business, and we brought it back to life. It's back. It's at digitalspace.com, and community's growing. And
now, what are we learning now? We certainly over time, with things like the Well and message groups, we've learned a lot about how people interact. That's different in cyberspace than in the real world. I'll say for things, for instance, online that I would never say to you face to face, and that can become an issue.
And what's really exciting in say 20 years or so, people look back and think, gee, people used to have only one or two modes of interaction. They used to be able to sit in chairs or maybe phone someone. When you'll have hundreds of modes of interaction and being with other people.
So it's all about choice then.
Yeah, our consciousness will be sort of shattered into these multiple streams of interaction.
Is there a problem associated with that? Do you start to lose track of reality?
In fact, when NASA has people out on spacewalks, they get cognitively overloaded after about 3 hours. Their physical bodies are okay, but the brains are shot.
Too much information.
Yeah, it's overload, and you'll find that people like our age get overloaded faster.
We can't handle the truth.
We can't do it.
Or the fake, or the phony.
Right.
But my kids, it'll be normal for them.
Yeah, hundreds of streams.
I already know that because I see my daughter on the phone in a conference call with 3 instant message chats going on at the same time, doing her homework.
And she's rendering video.
Yeah, I say, Abby, you can't do that. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, aren't you confused? She said, no. You're confused, Dad. So it really is something that as you learn it.
Yeah, it's early development, brain development, and they're maybe becoming different people because of that.
Well, what do you envision? All right, forget us. We're too old. We're old and in the way.
We're in the DigiBarn computer.
We're in the DigiBarn. We're back with our Commodore Pets. But what do you think our kids and our kids' kids will be? How will they be communicating in the future?
It's going to be unbelievable. In a sense that their cognitive structures are going to be a little bit different than ours. So they're going to be able to handle parallel tasks. They used to, when they found Einstein's brain, remember they found Einstein's brain?
Yeah, it was driving across the country in a Volkswagen, as I remember. Yeah.
And they looked at it and they found that he has sort of a different neural structure.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he probably could do stuff in the background. He was always thinking about his work, and that's what he told people.
Right.
And so maybe our kids are all going to be a little bit of Einstein.
Multitaskers.
Yeah. So do they have attention deficit disorder, and should they be on drugs, or are they just becoming?
Maybe it's just
different?
normal.
Maybe it's normal. Yeah.
I have to stop taking those pills. No, maybe I better stay on. So it looked like for a while that we were in this growth curve and this blossoming, and now it looks like we're kind of hunkered down a little bit. What happened?
Well, interestingly enough, in the personal computer business, I mean, you got your monopolies. Look at the 1930s. General Motors, Ford, and everything, little car makers going out of business.
No more innovation.
Right, so they standardize. They go onto this cruising altitude
Which
thing.
is an advantage. There are benefits to standardization, right?
Yeah, definitely. But there's still a bleeding edge, and it's in those massive multiplayer online worlds. I mean, that is the bleeding edge. People are spending tens or 20s of millions of dollars to make those things, and they're like theme parks plus movies plus
places like there,
or certainly Star Wars Galaxies or Sims Online or whatever. And that's the bleeding edge because it's about human beings directly represented in cyberspace.
So you think there's subcultures right now that are kind of we could look at and say that's the future? It's happening now.
Yeah, I mean,
where is that?
Where people are failing the most.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, remember IBM wouldn't go into a business until it was successful, right? Microsoft. So all these companies that are failing in these hard things like multi-user worlds, they're doing the...
That's the bleeding edge.
That's the bleeding edge.
That's where the future lies. Very interesting. Bruce wrote a great article for us all about the future of the virtual world at thescreensavers.com. Can people come see the DigiBarn?
Absolutely.
It's open to the public?
We have open houses. They have to contact us through the website.
DigiBarn, DigiBarn.com.
.com. Yep. And they can play all the virtual worlds at digitalspace.com.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. I want to resurrect the old site.
Traveler will come back to life.
Can we do that? Can we bring that back to life? Because, you know, Steve Porter is in there somewhere, too, our floor director. I'm in it, and Soledad O'Brien. I'm going to talk to you about that.
The Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah, it is. It still outlives.